I'm so glad I chose this palette. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm Krysia. We are going to be reviewing the Natasha Denona GLAM face palette. I wasn't going to get it, and it's been quite a while since it's been out. I mean, for YouTube purposes anyways. It's been a couple weeks. I'm guessing you probably watched some reviews already, and I don't know, I wasn't interested in this palette. I don't know why. I guess there's other things I wanted to try instead. To be honest, the blush in this was not in the tone that I usually like, so I wasn't overly keen on getting it. And then the last day of the sale came, and I went in store and I kind of looked at it. There was, I think, 2 left, and so I grabbed it. I grabbed the palette, and I am super happy that I did. I feel like my skin is just absolutely glowing right now. And I do feel that this palette is unique in quite a few ways. If you want to see this demo of the eye look, the face, I'm going to go over some swatches, and then of course my final thoughts on this palette. If you're still on the fence, if you're not sure if you should get it, hopefully this review helps you guys decide whether or not you should pull the trigger on this palette. So let's get straight into it. All right guys, let's look at the swatches. So the first 2 swatches are going to be the blush and the highlighter, and it's a very, very terracotta type blush. Not the best for my skin tone necessarily, but I think it'll just kind of jive really nicely with the rest of the eye look and just kind of create a very monochromatic look. I tend to veer for more kind of like pinky blushes, but I think this will suit the palette. We'll just see how much I like it. Next, we're gonna take a look at the shadows. These are 2 dips into the pan. The sparkly shades do perform slightly more like toppers. They're not overly creamy, so they're not gonna give you that really gilded metallic look. I feel like they're going to be slightly more of a topper effect. We'll see though, you never know. This is how they're swatching, and they are beautiful, but they do have obviously a lot of sparkle, a lot of glitter, and they remind me of like a thicker version of her lid topper pots. Those ones were very sheer and just very sparkly and reflective in terms of in the light. These I feel have a little bit more oomph or substance to them, but not as gilded or creamy as some of the metallic shades she's been able to bring out. All right, let's go ahead and do an eye look. I'm going to do sort of a daytime glam eye look because I am going to work in the next little bit here. Straight in with the transition shade, we're just going to follow her directions when it comes to this palette. I'm going to use a slightly flat shader brush. Blends in beautifully, you guys. This is so pretty. A nice camel shade. And I do like the mini glam palette, and I feel like there are some similarities, but they're not exactly the same. There are some differences in my opinion when it comes to mostly those shimmer shades. Let's go in and just build up the crease a little bit. We'll go with the crease shade. These are so easy to work with. Slightly down below. And these have a very nice, almost like warm brown, but slightly like pink in the undertone, which is really pretty. It's really flattering. Like I said, I'm just not sure about that blush. Oh, when I saw that, that's what really kind of prevented me from getting the palette sooner. I just kind of waited till the last day of the sale, and then I finally took the plunge. I was on the fence and I was like, oh, I'll get it. I think it's going to be a really pretty everyday type palette. I'm gonna use this shade here all over. That's technically the outer corner shade, but I'm gonna use it sort of like all over. Very crumbly, still metallic, but has a bit of a crumble to it. And it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. But again, don't expect anything too creamy, you guys. It definitely has that sort of like topper, glittery type quality. A little bit creamier than a pressed glitter. Super pretty. My goodness. It's not what I expected, and I'm kind of happy about it. I thought it was going to be just very super metallic, super creamy, you know what I mean? But it's not, and I kind of like that. It's a bit different, you know? So we're gonna use that smoke shade. First, we're gonna line the eyes, and then we'll see if we can just smoke out the edges just a little bit. Ooh, that's a very pretty shade to line the eyes with. Again, keeping it very monochromatic. I was gonna use my black carbon, but I don't think I need to. This has enough oomph. I do wanna smoke out the edge just a touch. I don't know if this is too chubby of a crease brush, but we'll just go into that smoke shade just ever so gently. Oh, the quality is top notch, you guys. They blend out so beautifully. When I was swatching them, they seemed a little bit, not patchy, but not overly pigmented after one swipe or dig into the pan. But when you're applying these shadows onto your eyes, you almost don't want it to be like overly pigmented right off the bat. I prefer building things up just a little bit. Again, that's more my style of makeup, a little bit more natural glam versus full out drama glam most days of the week. You see, it's giving you definition, but it's not going overly crazy. I really like that. What a beautiful smoke out shade. So back into the transition shade, a bit of the crease shade, and let's just smoke out the bottom. Go back in with the transition shade and just kind of do a final blend. Final step, this was so easy, you guys. I love easy makeup. Let's go in with that inner corner shade. Wow. And we'll use it on a very sort of like small brush. This might be interesting, right? Because if it's a little bit of a topper type consistency, going inner corner with that might not be the best, but it works good and it stays in place. Bit of a brow bone with that, although I kind of thought maybe I would use the highlighter. So we'll do the brow bone on this side with that inner corner shade. The other side, I'm going to use the highlighter. Good. I am really happy with that. Very nice for every day. I can even wear this to work, which I am. I'm going to go put on some mascara and then we'll do the rest of the face. All right, I'm back, you guys. No falsies here, although it looks really intense. Literally 1.5 to 2 coats of, I say 1.5 because my second coat wasn't a full coat and it just went nuts and glam. I love it. The Bite Beauty mascara. It is so good. I am very disappointed that I didn't get it back up the sale, but oh well, what are you gonna do? So that is the finished eye look. I do want to put a little bit of that inner corner shade on the ball of my eye. I'm gonna use a really tiny brush and just ever so gently put a little bit right there. Just that extra bit of sparkle. Yeah, it just creates that little extra bit of something. And I feel like putting it right above your eyeball, it just really enhances the sparkle in your eyes and just makes you look just extra kind of awake. Wow. I'll do a quick contour, nothing crazy. I do like to use my Marc Jacobs. Oh, RIP, it better come back. This line really needs to come back because there's so many holy grails from his line that I repurchase. I mean, I don't think I have to repurchase this bronzer anytime soon, but once I'm done, I would want to. We'll do a final bronze at the end. Let's go in and just use this palette now. This blush, again, you guys saw the swatches. It's very sheer. It has sort of like a moussey, creamy texture. I'm gonna use a stipple brush. I like this one. This is from EcoTools, and I don't think they make it anymore, and I'm really sad about it because it is perfect. The one from MAC Cosmetics is good too. It just has a slightly smaller head on it. So I like to go in and let's see how pigmented this is. Not overly, and it is that terracotta shade. I don't love these undertones on me, but it has a nice glow to it. It has a sheerness to it, which is great. So you can just build it up. This reminds me of the Glow Play blushes from MAC. Very similar texture. I feel like the MAC ones are maybe just slightly more creamy, whereas this one is definitely a little bit more hard pressed, but same effect, sheer and slightly glowy. Temples, nose. Let's see, I'm looking in the viewfinder. I'm gonna go with one more layer, which is nice that it's so sheer. And I do feel the fact that she came out with 2 palettes is perfection, because then you're not sacrificing, you know what I mean? Lighter to medium skin tones can really go in and enjoy the palette because they don't have to worry about over pigmentation, and then darker skin tones don't have to worry about putting too much product to get any pigmentation because that doesn't usually look natural or good either. Okay, I think we're good for that. Let's go back in and use the bronze cheek palette from her from 2 summers ago. I'm just gonna sort of swish the 2 bottom shades. They're sort of more the powder shades. And we'll just go in and do a slight bronzier look. And I do want to contour my nose a bit. I never contour with you guys, and I always contour my nose. I like to contour with the Film Star Bronze and Glow. This happens to be from the Love collection from Charlotte Tilbury, and I just find it's a nice undertone. So I usually just take it on either side there. And just slightly under. And that just creates a little bit more of a perky nose. All right, now the highlighter, you guys. Let's go back in and highlight. So we're gonna take that highlight over the top of our brow bone on this side because we didn't do that. Bit of a big brush there, but that's perfect. I do like that more because it has a slightly more smooth and smaller kind of like shimmer particle in it versus the shadows. So I think it does look a bit better than that side in terms of a brow bone highlight. Very, very pretty. And now let's go in on our cheeks. I am so glad I chose this palette. You guys. Literal glass skin effect, and then over top of the cream blush, because it's not overly creamy, this just glides right beautifully on top. She did a good job with this. Oh, you don't need very much, but look how round and highlighted those cheekbones are. So pretty. Highlight is so fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Quick lip, nothing crazy. Dancefloor Princess from Charlotte Tilbury. I wanted to do a nude lip, but I wanted to do something a little bit more pink. I didn't want to go overly nude because I feel like the undertones are already warm. And this is definitely a nude, but has a slightly more pink undertone. Okay guys, this is the final daytime glam look. Guys, so this is the final look. I did pull out the mini glam palette, and I'm not gonna actually swatch it because mine is really destroyed. It's been through a lot. I love this palette, and I remember taking it on some vacation 2 years ago, and it just crumbled. And I don't think it's the same because you have to remember this mini glam palette is definitely more like creamy metallic. The shades are, you know, in that same family. It's still going to be that warm, slightly like mustardy terracotta undertones. But you're gonna get a little bit more glam out of this because you have those really sheeny metallics and you have that really dark smoke out or liner shades. You can go a little bit more intense with this palette. I love this one. I feel like this one is a must have. Even if you have this one, I feel like this one is different enough and it just packs a punch, you guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful palette. And again, if you don't want to spend the money on this one, or for example, you're not a big fan of those terracotta, you know, blush shades, I'm not usually, but I do still like how this looks. But again, budget-wise, or you don't want another blush or highlighter, this is definitely a wonderful, wonderful way to go. Now, what are my thoughts with this palette? I absolutely love it. And I wasn't going to get it because I don't know, I've been sort of on the fence with Natasha Denona's recent releases. The smoky palette, the one that was just like the silver and the black, did not interest me. It doesn't suit me, and so that was not a palette I was interested in at all. The bigger retro palette, I feel like it looks so darn gorgeous, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. I was even in store. I was able to swatch and play to my heart's content, and I still couldn't pull the trigger. Yet when I saw this one, it was literally a couple swatches and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. This is totally up my alley. I will get use out of it. I feel like the packaging is slightly different, slightly amped up for Natasha Denona. Reminds me of Patrick Ta, actually. That same sort of rose gold packaging. I just love the design of it. I love that it's covered up there. I love that this is actually a cream because the highlighter goes on top of it with extra punch, like just that extra glossy, juicy, dewy goodness. And these shadows are so easy to work with. They're not overly pigmented, which means you can build them up as you need to. The shimmery shadows are definitely more topper shades, but that's beautiful. It's something unique. It's not your typical metallic. And because they have that slightly more topper effect, I feel that they don't blend in with everything else. They have a different enough texture that when you put it on top, you don't get the metallic kind of blend that sometimes happens. Not so much muddy, but just that overly blending in together. These stand out on the eyeballs. They just create such beautiful dimension that when it hits the light even, it's just to die for. Guys, that's it for today's review. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below. Do you guys have this palette? Are you still on the fence about it? Also, I invite you to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Lots of beauty content, some fashion content and health sprinkled in between as well. And I'm also going to leave you with a video after this. If you want to see more luxury beauty or high-end beauty at work, I'm going to leave you with my latest luxury haul and try-on, which includes a Patrick Ta blush palette. Please come back in stock soon. And that is it. Thank you so much again. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.